Hey everyone, today I thought I'd rank the traps of Meteor Maker from worst to best, in terms of their effectiveness, versatility, and stuff like that. Let's get into it. The Iron Claw is a less direct trap, but more of a utility, that is meant to displace the invader by pulling them into a place of danger. I've seen some pretty creative uses for this trap. There is a bug at the moment which allows traps to fire through second wave Corrosive Cubes, which is where this has seen the most usage I've found. Otherwise, I find them relatively ineffective, to be honest. I like the concept of the trap and its existence, but I do think it's the current weakest. I've seen it be most effective when pulling invaders into Impalers or the line of sight of a Boltshot or something. A big downside of them is that they're also quite slow. The Impaler, I think, is currently the weakest damage trap. I don't think it's bad or doesn't have its uses, but I do think it's the weakest out of all the other options, with its short activation range and the ability to easily dodge it. Its main benefit is its lower cost, and its effective pairing with other traps. It works best when you have some form of distraction, or you're able to place it around a corner. It's effective at catching out people who move slowly through maps, but it's genuinely terrible against people who rush. The Corrosive Cube is next up, and is here largely for its utility. It has a small cost at 15, and is a great tool for blocking off areas, and acting as a tool to herd invaders into certain areas, or use distractions to force them into the cubes themselves. They are a lot of fun to play around with, and I've seen lots of uses for them. I do think after the second wave bug is fixed, they aren't going to be as popular though. Still, I enjoy them, and I like the ways they can be used with their different quirks, like being able to go through one block without dying. They are a great tool when creating maps, and particularly dense and dangerous areas. This may be a little controversial, but I think Plasma Sentinels currently are not that strong. The Plasma Sentinel is a trap that is a little overrated in my opinion, with its main usage being in stacked box rooms, and it relies largely on its Plasma Cloud modification to make it truly effective. They fill a role which is done much better by a guard, which can have the options of armor and stuff like that too. The main benefit of Sentinels is that they're able to fire in all directions that are open, meaning they can be very good when placed in large open spaces and rooms, as they can target from almost any angle. And they have the widest effective area and range currently out of any of the traps. The Death Piston I think is debatably the best anti-rush trap currently, particularly when used with its blockade or unstable modifiers. These traps are constantly active, slamming a one block area repeatedly. It's great for hiding other traps like the Incinerator or Boltshots, and is effective at catching invaders off guard. Despite being very obvious, it's still a big nuisance. They can be noisy, but despite this, they often seem to catch people out, as they'll mostly be ignored in favor of more aggressive traps, making them prime for being background secondary traps that actually do quite a bit. The constant banging they make is also great for confusing invaders, and their sound can be masked a lot of the time with different moving decals. Great trap, and when utilized well, can be very deadly, both directly and passively. The Holocube is a passive trap, but I think the most effective one. They cost very little at just 10 points, and they have so much usage for both first and second wave. Despite these being fairly simple, Holocubes account for a large portion of my base kills. One of the most successful trap types I've had are long pitfalls with Holocubes where people walk over and get shot, unable to react as they fall. Holocubes can be used to hide traps, guards, and are great for springing surprise attacks in different ways. They cost very little, and can make most traps very effective, including simpler ones like Impalers or Corrosive Cubes. Really amazing, and the best passive trap in the game I think. The Bomb Ejector is probably the funniest of the traps, basically just being a load of bombs dumped into the outpost, which destroys everything in the area. They are only this low for me as they do require some caution, as they can backfire a lot of the time on your own base. They are great but need to be used sparingly I think. They can be made more effective with their different options of bomb types. They have a somewhat quiet activation sound, making them effective at longer ranges and through small gaps. They're also amazing on ramped blocks and in confined areas. A very strong trap with chaotic potential. The Incinerator I think may be the current strongest trap in the game, and it's largely down to the fact that it doesn't backfire on other traps like many other traps do. It's powerful due to its quiet activation sound, its long effective range, and the fact that you can barely scrape the flames and it'll kill you. It can also easily sneak through small gaps, and can be used in very sneaky ways to catch the players off guard. The quiet activation is really a big upside here. They cost a bit more at 70, and will be even more when applying mods, but they are very worthwhile, and are the key to many of the most effective bases, as they are amazing at zoning, countering rushes, slow play styles. Really, they can be used in almost any way. The Boltshot is the trap I've personally found the most success with, and for me it's my top trap, and my personal pick for the best trap. More objectively, I think it'd be the Incinerator, but I personally find Boltshots to be the most effective. It's one of the most, if not the most versatile trap, with its range of mods that provide different ways to use the trap. You can have long shot traps, traps with homing bolts, and traps that fire staggered bolts for more consistent pressure, and even fire twice. Boltshots are the most varied traps at the moment, I think, and can fill the role of impalers, incinerators, and pistons. The trap fires a wave of bolts after a short animation and sound cue at a range of 8 blocks, extendable to 10. Really great trap, and pretty much a must-have, I think, for most bases. Very versatile and fun to play around with. Alright, well, that's gonna do it. I do hope you enjoyed, and drop your own thoughts too down below. Thanks, and goodbye.